Now that the budget was read yesterday, we need to tell you what you need to do to ensure that when you retire, you have some benefits, by the way. And in studio with us is none other than Rose Kwena, who is the Chief Manager, Corporate Communications at Retirement Benefit Authority. And she'll be letting us know what we can do to save for retirement, I want to believe. And that's the discussion Safina Cheng will look forward to, is it not?
Yes, of course. We are right here and ready to take that conversation, to get it started, of course, just to help us understand what we can do when we retire. Thank you so much for joining me this morning, Rose. Rose Kwena is the Chief Manager, Corporate Communications from Retirement Benefits Authority, like my colleague Martin Mwanje has alluded. Thank you so much for joining us, of course. You can engage us on SMS 20511 is the numbers to engage us on, starting with the initials GMK. Find us on social media, on Twitter, GM Kenya KBC. And you can also find me on my Twitter handle at Safin_Aching. Send us your questions and your comments concerning the conversation that we're just about to have. We're talking about retirement benefits. We're talking about just how to plan for your life when you get to retire. Thank you so much for joining me in studio this morning.
Welcome.
Okay, so let's begin. As the Corporate Communications Manager, probably what's your key mandate?
My key mandate is to create awareness around the pension subject. Because as you well know, many of us Kenyans do not even save. Forget about saving for pension,
It's true.
For retirement. We are a people who don't have a saving culture. And if we do save, we want to save and then also get immediate gratification from the same savings. Mm-hmm. So, but as you know, or you may not know, pension savings are long-term savings. So it requires people to internalize the fact that they need to put aside money over a long period of time, and they will not be able to access that money until they reach a stage whereby they are not able to work anymore. Mm-hmm. This should not be because you've been maybe fired from your job or you've lost your job, but it should be for a situation when even if you wish to work, your body does not allow you to work. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That is what pension savings is all about.
Okay, what we see, this trend is very common in the Western world as opposed to, us in Africa. The people in the Western world have this culture of, looking at the future and saving for it and reaching a point where they deliberately resign from their job and just, take time to rest. But here, we don't see that much. I don't know what you have to say concerning that kind of a trend.
I think the trend really has to do with our socialization. Mm-hmm. And you will find that in our culture, we really have issues within our culture. I want to even say we have peculiar habits that do not allow us to behave like those people in the Western cultures. We have a problem where we take on social responsibilities from so many other people, and that distracts us even from saving. Mm-hmm. We have also had this belief that you will be taken care of when you age by your children or your relatives, but the social fabric is actually breaking down. You will find that now, if actually you're old and you've retired, you're more or less on your own. And the people in the West realized this long time ago that they were on their own. Mm-hmm. So that has enabled them to believe that they need to start putting aside money that is going to help them when they reach that stage where they are on their own.
But is it wrong, Rose, for somebody to expect they'll be taken care of? Because when you in your younger season in life, you're trying to fend for the kids, you're investing in their education, investing on their upbringing. And then later, with the hope that maybe later they will be able to give back. Is it a wrong line of thought?
It is not wrong. It's just that the times have changed.
All right.
See, during our parents' time and even maybe our times right now, you are able to take care of the old, your parents. But going forward, you can even tell that our children, are just like going away. They may go away, they may go to, different countries, or they may even go into the cities. And the way things are now, you find that probably they will send you a text message to say, hi, how are you? They may send you a text message on your birthday, but they are not even visiting. So because the times are changing, we also need to change with the times and start putting aside reserves that are going to help us when we really need them. And you can even see that now even young people are not getting jobs. So during those times, you know, when you went to school, you were educated, there was a job waiting for you. So there was a guarantee that you'll actually have the funds to take care of your parents.
Okay.
But all those things are changing, and I think as Kenyans, we really need to take cognizance of those changes and start thinking about ourselves in retirement.
Okay. Retirement and pension, of course. Pension is the money that you save and you cannot be able to access until at a certain time, like you said earlier. I'm curious to know, what does this money do? Like when I save, what do you do with it, with my money? Because if I'm not able to access it, is it just placed somewhere, staying stagnant, or do you invest in it? What do you do with my money when I save?
Yeah, actually, that's a very good question, because people need to know that this money is invested. Now, when you make your contribution, like say if you're in an occupational scheme, like if KBC has a scheme, that would be an occupational scheme that is set up by your employer for the employees. So then the employees would make a contribution, the employer would make a contribution. These monies would be invested by the fund manager in different investment vehicles. And then the monies would be earning interest every year. So the monies that have been invested plus the interest that was earned is again reinvested. So when you do this over a period of time, you actually benefit from what we call the compound interest, which gives you very good amounts of money at the end of your saving period. So you will find that by the time you are receiving your pension, about 80% of that pension is actually interest. 20% is only what you are saving.
What you were saving,
yeah,
okay.
so that is a very good benefit. Again, the other benefit that you'd get is that for now, up to 20,000 Kenya shillings of the monies that you are contributing towards pension is not taxed. It is tax-free. So the government is also foregoing tax on your side. And again, you know, you are benefiting from the compound interest. So if you start saving early, you can actually put aside just a little amount of money every month. And at the end of maybe 20, 30 years, you'd be having some very good reserves.
Now, two issues are coming up. What if you don't get to that time? What are the strategies that you take to make sure that that money does not get lost? Or, like, for example, you're saying 30 years. What if somebody does not hit 30 years?
Yeah, so they die,
God forbid.
Yeah, God forbid you do. But if you do, pension savings are really secured. Actually, that is the only amount of saving that you're in control of, even when you are when you die. Because as you join a pension scheme, you are supposed to nominate beneficiaries. You yourself must nominate beneficiaries. You cannot join a pension scheme and not nominate beneficiaries. And these beneficiaries are people you wish to access your funds if, God forbid, you are not there. So unlike other assets that you may be having, where, you know, people will start contesting and fighting over it and you have no control, this one you have control. And you are allowed to change those beneficiaries over time. You may have married this lady and maybe now, you know, maybe you're divorced. So then you can go back and change. You may have had 2 children by the time you are joining, or maybe you were single and now you're married. When you're single, maybe you had your mother, you know, as your beneficiary. Now you're married with children. So anytime you get new children, you are also allowed to update that list.
Okay.
So your money is safe and your money only goes to the people you wish to access that money.
Okay. And you know what, Rosa, Kenyans would wish to save, Kenyans would wish to do, you know, have a plan for their future. But one of the challenges that come with that is that in the saving industry, in the banking industry, we've witnessed a lot of issues where somebody puts their money into something, maybe a SACCO or a scheme, and then they get lost. You know, after some time you hear the bank has closed, maybe the SACCO you've been investing in was not registered. I don't know what you're doing in terms of also that, to make sure that, you know, the wananchi are protected, especially the ones that do not have the information.
Yeah. Now, the Retirement Benefits Authority, RBA, is a pensions regulator. So we regulate the pension sector. We regulate, we supervise and regulate the pension sector, but the service providers in this sector are actually licensed by us. So you'll find that the administrator who keeps records is registered by us. Then we have the fund manager who invests the fund, who is also registered by us. Trustees are there to ensure that these funds are prudently invested. And then we have what we call a custodian. And these are banks that are registered by us and central bank. So you will find that in the pension sector, we have these Chinese walls between all these service providers, so that the entity, which is the administration entity that keeps records, does not see the money, doesn't even touch the money. Then the fund manager also does not touch the money. The fund manager will only identify opportunities of investment, but the monies are kept by the custodian. So this also brings in issues of governance, good governance.
Good governance.
Yes, and then every year we issue new licenses to this.
Of course, we are having a conversation concerning pension and retirement plans, and I'm having Rose Kwena from, who is the Chief Manager Corporate Communications from Retirement Benefits Authority, with me right here in studio. We've had, a lot of questions answered so far. You can keep on sending your questions on our Twitter handle and also on SMS, and we will sure sample some of those. But to continue with the conversation you were having earlier, one of the things that is actually a challenge in Kenya and in the minds of many citizens, considering the hard economic times and the salary scale and what people are earning in their business and in their employment, many people are for the idea that, where do I get the money to save? When the salary that I am having is not even enough for my own expenses. What do you have to say?
Thank you. Now, what I can say is that we, as Kenyans, actually believe that we do not have the disposable income to put aside for long-term saving. But if you look at how we spend our money, you can tell that we can actually get that money to save for retirement. Let me just give you an example. You will find that in Kenya, families do not sit together to discuss the budget. You will find that if it's the man who is the one that earns the money, he just wants to be asked, like, say, today, the sugar is finished, or we don't have money for food. Then he will, even hide it. It's always hidden in the pocket. He'll look here and say, okay, now what did you do with the one that I gave you yesterday? Then he'll pull out a note and give you. Okay. So then, then the wife would go and, buy the food. But when you look at other cultures, like especially the Western cultures that save, families sit together, they discuss the budget, they discuss the amount of money that they have, and each one understands that there is a need and a want. So many of the things you find us buying are actually not needs, they're just wants. If I see you with that shoe, I want it. So instead of me deciding that, that is not what I need because I already have a shoe, I'll go and buy it because I want it.
So now, how then do we inculcate the saving culture in the minds of Kenyans?
Now, RBA, together with other financial sector regulators like the Insurance Regulatory Authority, the Capital Markets Authority, the Central Bank of Kenya, and SASRA came together in 2012. And we approached the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development to help us develop a financial literacy curriculum that is going to target school children starting from 6 years all the way to tertiary. This is because we believe that to change that mindset, you really need to start early. So the school financial literacy curriculum has been piloted in all the regions right now. And right now they are doing monitoring and evaluation, and it is going to be infused in the overhauled national curriculum for schools. Yeah.
And what about the generation that already exists? This one's
like us.
Like us
yes.
now, like
now
the working class.
I want to tell you this. Most of us do not even know how to manage our finances. For example, if you have a child and you have a husband, and maybe you have 2 kids, let me just say a man, wife, and 2 children, you want to go to the mall. In most cases, you'll find that we will wake up, have breakfast, and then we all go to the mall, like by 11, we are at the mall. Now, when we are at the mall at 11 and we are a family of 4, we are going to spend about 5,000 shillings for lunch. Now, if we knew that if we were to wait and have lunch at home,
maybe we already had unga, so we would make ugali, or we had potatoes, so we can make chips, for the children. By the time you're going to the mall at 2:30, 3, all the kids will want is ice cream. So you're not going to spend more than 500 shillings. So those are the tips that we teach people in our retirement planning seminars.
What I'm getting is we need to be wise in our expenses.
Yes.
We need to be very wise in what we spend our money on.
Exactly.
Then you'd have, something
disposable
to save.
income.
Yeah. Wow, that's very important. Huh?
Yes.
We're taking that home. I hope you're taking notes for this, of course. And another issue that I wanted you to address concerns in terms of, saving for long term would be very difficult. When I think that I'm saving for something that will happen 30 years from now, then that would be even just make me, lack motivation to do it. I don't know if there are any other strategies of making this a little bit, like it can be a gradual process. Like as I'm saving, I'm also getting benefits as I continue with my lifespan until when I get to 30, I've been experiencing these benefits all through my life, not to wait for that specific long-term period. Are there any measures like that?
Yes. What we know is that as Kenyans are entrepreneurial hustlers. So even if you're doing this job, you're having a side hustle and all that. And like I said, we want immediate gratification. So what we are doing is not stopping Kenyans from doing what they do. But we are trying to educate Kenyans and say that in as much as you're, saving for, the land and whatever you're doing, just put aside something small. And we also demonstrate the benefits of saving for retirement in our communication. In 2009, a product known as a pension-backed mortgage was introduced. In this pension-backed mortgage, what it offered to people who are saving for retirement was, when you are saving through a mortgage and you want to buy a house, because every Kenyan wants to own a house, you can assign up to 60% of your pension savings towards acquiring that house. Assigning means the money does not leave the fund. So the money is still growing, it's still earning you that compound interest and all that, but at the same time, you just use it as a backup, to access a mortgage.
Okay.
Now, that means that you don't have to look for the initial fees that you have to pay for. Maybe if you have to pay any deposit, you have to pay lawyers' fees, you have to pay all those costs that usually a lot of Kenyans would not have. So there's a benefit right there. You could actually be, working towards owning a house, and at the same time, you're saving for retirement.
Okay. In terms of percentage, what are we talking about? Like
currently, only about 16% of the total workforce is covered under pension. So we have a long way to go.
Why do you think it's 16%?
And most of those 16% are actually in the formal sector. So the bulk of the total workforce, which is in the informal sector, that is about 85% of the total workforce, is actually not covered. And those are the ones we are really targeting, and we have come up with products that actually address their unique circumstances. In 2009, Mbao pension scheme was introduced, and this is a very easy way of saving, in that the minimum amount that you're supposed to put aside is only 20 shillings. And you do this any time of the day, any time of the year. And if you do not have any money, then you are not penalized. But these monies, they still enjoy the same benefits as those ones that are of regular contribution.
Okay. And there's also been complaints from some clients that when you get to the time when you need that money, it takes a process for you to, just receive it. Maybe you've retired, you've gone to now you need your pension money to be given to you so that you can invest in a project. Then it takes a while, and it takes a long process to follow up. I don't know how far you've gone with that. And
that used to happen in the past. In the past, there used to be that headache of trying to access your money. But as of now, the way the law stands right now, you're supposed to be given your pension within 30 days of your retirement. Actually, it should even be on the day you're leaving, because this is not an emergency. But at least within 30 days, you should actually access your pension. And if 30 days have lapsed and you're not getting your pension, we encourage Kenyans to contact the Retirement Benefits Authority and make a complaint.
In a scenario where somebody has not reached the retirement age, but they've been struck by an emergency, like you say, maybe they're ailing and they want to go abroad for some surgery and they need that money. That's the only investment that they have so far. Is there a possibility of them accessing that money, or they have to wait until they retire?
Unfortunately, this money is not for emergencies. It is monies that are being put aside for old age.
All right.
So we are trying to, be also sensitive to the needs of the Kenyans who wish to save for retirement. And right now we are just exploring ways of how that can be done. Probably if there could be a certain percentage that is put aside for access. But right now it's not yet the law. So, but we are thinking about it and we're having a discussion around that.
Okay, it will be important because saving for a long-term process, you never know what will happen along the way. You may need just, support in one way or another. Let's talk about what you're doing in terms of this 16% that you've managed to have right now. How can we make sure that it's not 16%, but the percentage grows, just to tap in the population that is there, both in the formal and the informal sector? What's your advice? How can we bridge that gap?
We are doing that by creating awareness about the importance of saving for retirement. Right now we have a campaign that is running and it's called Kuregarega campaign. Kuregarega, yeah. And it is educating.
Why Kuregarega?
Kuregarega because we believe that Kenyans are regaregaring when they are working, when they are active. They are not really thinking about saving for retirement. But when they get out of employment or when they now move from the working life to the old age, they get a rude shock. And the shock is that, they don't have reserves, so they cannot take care of themselves in retirement. So this particular campaign is actually a shock therapy kind of campaign, but shock with humor. And that is why the term Kuregarega comes in. And here we are educating Kenyans on the importance of saving for retirement, but at the same time, we are demonstrating the consequences of not saving for retirement, whereby we are showing Kenyans that, in this particular campaign, you have Kenyans who are actually old people who are very successful during their working life. Maybe just for example, I could say like a chief accountant who is now going to look for a driver's job in their late 70s, in their 70s, because, now they can't make ends meet. Or old people, going to the mall, in the mall you have that sign, the signpost with jobs, and they're going to look for jobs and with 24-year-olds, and that is really not acceptable. So we are trying to educate Kenyans through that campaign. At the same time, we have clinics that we host in different counties. This month, we are going to be in Meru, maybe in another week or so, targeting the informal sector workers. Here, we also pass the same message and we educate them on why it is important for them to start saving for retirement while they're still on the job. Because the informal sector actually is worse off. These are people who work until they die. They just die on the job. The reason being that they do not feel comfortable to even stop working because they don't
weekends,
have any
on
reserves.
holidays,
They work every day of their
24
life.
hours.
Yes.
Wow.
And they don't even have time to go for medical care. They don't even have time for anything else other than just work. But this is because they have not put aside any reserves for their old age.
Okay. So we do hope that this will bear fruit, that next time we're having this conversation, it will not be 16%, but, a larger percentage of Kenyans embracing, saving for their retirement. But when we talk about retirement, old age, most young people would feel, I still have a lot of things to do. I still have a life to live before I think of my old age and, what I will do when I retire. Probably what is the right time to start thinking about saving for my retirement?
The right time to start thinking about saving for your retirement is the day you get confirmed on your first job, if it is like full-time employment, or the day you just earn your first income. that is the day you should start thinking about saving for retirement. And I'm glad you've mentioned the young people, because we have the same campaign for the young people running on our social media platform. We have it on Twitter, we have it on Facebook, we have it on YouTube, we have it on all our social media platforms, and we are happy to see that young people are now really becoming interested in this subject of planning for retirement. And we are trying to tell them that, you know, retirement planning should be amongst the first thing that you think about. The way you think about buying your first car, the way you think about buying maybe your first shamba or your first house or marrying your wife, you know, it should be the same way you think about saving for retirement.
So even the youth should actually just open their eyes and start
Yes.
thinking of when they retire.
Yeah.
And what is your, when people get this money, sometimes family, you know, this money of course has also broken homes. When somebody retires, they get their pension money and they disappear maybe for 2 months.
Yes.
And some people even invest, they don't even invest, they do things that, you know, the family would ask, what did you do with your pension money again?
Yeah.
Now, somebody has been saving for 30 years or for not even 30 years, the entire working life you've been saving. When you get this money, you disappear with it. What would be your advice in terms of some areas that somebody can invest in, things that people can do with this money to make sure that it benefits them like they've been waiting to be benefited?
Actually, the RBA carries out monthly retirement planning seminars, and within these seminars are targeting members of pension schemes, those who are already saving. And within these seminars, we teach them, we equip them with skills on how they are going even to invest these monies, what to expect, how the monies are working for them, what they need to do even during their saving life, how they can interrogate the service providers who are investing these monies for them. And when it comes to the time of accessing, we also equip them with the skills of what can they do with the money. One thing we usually tell them is that you should not go and invest your money in a venture that you do not know. Because Kenyans, you know, we are sort of copycats. If I see you with a matatu or a fleet of matatus, the next time I get my money, I'll put them in matatus because I've seen you with it. I see you with a restaurant, I do the same. So what we're saying is that as you're working, try to be also identifying your passion, your inner passion, or try to be equipping yourself with skills that are going to help you put your money in a venture that you have at least some knowledge of. We also teach them social skills. You'll find that mostly men, when they get their monies, they will actually go and marry a second wife with this money.
It's true, you know.
So we teach them
As
these
I
skills.
was telling you, this money has broken some homes,
Yes.
you know,
We
depending
teach
on how it is being used.
We teach them those skills, and we teach them that when you're working, also there are ways in which you need to keep your family together. You'll find that most times when men are working, they're hanging out with the boys. They're not actually building relationships back home with their family. This is what really breaks the homes. Now, when they come home with the money, there is no harmony in the home because these people are totally strangers. You've been busy working, so, you know, the wife didn't know you. Now you're coming home, and you're coming home to a stranger. And then, you know, because you don't even negotiate how you are going to coexist in this new environment, you maybe try to impose yourself. And then, of course, what most wives will do right now, they are the ones who have been nurturing the children. The children maybe are grown. They have migrated. Maybe you have a daughter in the US, you have another one in London, you have another one in Nakuru. So the lady will do like one-way ticket to New York to see the daughter and maybe end up in there for 6 months. Now, this man has money, but now he does not have that social support in the home. And that is what makes this happen.
We are getting back to you in a short while, but on the other side of the studio, standing by is my colleague Martin Mwanje to give us the feedback that we've received so far concerning what we are talking about. Over to you, Martin.
Thank you indeed, Safin. You are right. A lot of feedback coming from our audience here. They seem to have a lot of reactions and a number of questions to ask. Let me begin with this. Radio Plus 254 talking about start saving for tomorrow. He agrees with whatever Rose is saying. Ongwere Amos actually asked, what's the procedure of registration? Maybe if one wants to be part of the Retirement Benefit Authority, the question of registration and the procedure. Tiandela says it's going to be a great day. It will be, of course. And Kenyan says we should know that the best thing about old age is not working, but what happens when you can't sustain yourself. Yeah? And Ngamia Fujo says it's all important to demystify the idea young people have that they can't afford to save. And then Alvin Karani says, great insights and advice for the young generation. Let's do something about our future. Kenyan asked, make yourself the first beneficiary, says, make yourself the first beneficiary of your hard work. Save for your future now. And then we have, I saw one here that was a question. Let me see. There's one that I saw. Tony Kaggs says, what's the minimum? In fact, that's a question that I was talking about. What's the minimum amount I can contribute for retirement? That's the question that Tony Kaggs asks here. What is the minimum amount I can contribute for retirement? The question that Tony Kaggs poses here. And then those are some of the reactions we have. What are our best future opportunities? What are our areas of untapped potential? And then there are some of the questions here. The question of procedure as posed by Ogweri Amos, and then Tony Kaggs asked what is the minimum amount one can contribute to the Retirement Benefits Authority. I want to believe that Safina Chiang, those are some of the questions Rose can come clear about as you continue with the conversation this morning. But remember, Mercy Masika will be in studio in a short while, so stay tuned to the program. This is Good Morning Kenya, and if you want to contribute, at KBC Channel 1 remains our Twitter handle, 20511 is our SMS line. At Marto Bahati, that's my Twitter handle, and that's Safin _Acheng, her Twitter handle. I can see at RBA _Kenya if you want to get in touch with the Retirement Benefits Authority. Safin, over to you.
Thank you so much, Martin, of course, and thank you for tweeting and for sending those questions. We do appreciate you so much for being with us and for being part of this conversation. Great insights that we've learned on this set today, of course. But before we get to any other issue, I'll give Rose a chance to react to those two questions that we've just had. Number one is the process of registering. How is it done?
Yeah, now, if you're not employed, of course, if you're employed, you just get yourself into a retirement benefit scheme by default because your employer has one. Now, if you're not employed, we have registered 34 individual pension schemes. These are schemes that are run by insurance companies, and some are just run by administrators. And like Mbao Pension Scheme is actually sponsored by the Kenya National Federation of Juakali Associations. So you can go to our website and you see those 34 registered schemes, and then you can interrogate all of them or any of them and see which one has a product that fits your pocket.
All right.
Yeah.
And
now, for Mbao, for how much?
Yeah.
Again, like I said, each one of them have different products, and those products would fit any pocket. But if you are in the informal sector where, one, you do not know how much money you can make, and two, you don't even know when you would make this amount of money, then Mbao Pension Scheme would be for you. Because, like I said, it is a relaxed scheme. It does not have any penalties, and it only has a minimum that you can, which is 20 shillings, that you can contribute in a day. Okay. But again, it doesn't say that it has to be daily. Even if you have 100 shillings, you can just put it there, and some weeks can pass by without you having anything. And when you get even 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, you can also just put it there.
Thank you so much, Rosa, for joining us this morning and talking to us about saving for the retirement. I'm sure you have learned a lot. And of course, Mercy Masika is already in studio. It's Entertainment Thursday. Keep it Good Morning Kenya. My name is Safin Acheng Ouma.